Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Tech Show with Daryoush. My name is Daryoush, your host. Our guests are Robert Blakely, known as the Blakester, the sales psychology coach, and Kurt Roskopf from the Disability Channel USA. And recently, he has become the captain of the Happy Neighborhood Project for the Wisconsin and Happy Neighborhood Project for the Disability Society. Uh, Before going to Kurt and Robert, I have a news for you. Uh, I saw a news about the security flaw in the I, Apple products. It's a security issue on the wireless network that can break your iPhone Wi-Fi features. This security flaw has been identified by a security researcher named Carl Shu. Uh, in his Twitter, he has said that after joining my personal Wi-Fi with the SSID percent P percent S percent S percent S percent S percent N, my iPhone permanently disabled its Wi-Fi functionality. Neither rebooting nor changing the SSID fixes it. I was talking with Robert. He said that why people join to a stranger Wi-Fi network. Well, this is the public places are the places that most of the people try to find free Wi-Fi network and use the free internet. And this is the best place for the hackers to abuse these network functionalities and access to your phone, your data, and everything that can be found on your phone. So be very careful and be alerted. Do not join any suspicious network. Do not join any suspicious Wi-Fi connection, especially those with strange names or those that their names begins with dollar sign or percent sign or a symbol. Never join to such kind of Wi-Fi connections. Kurt, I know that the Happy Neighborhood Project for the Wisconsin, you are working with them, they are launching, and also another Happy Neighborhood branch for the disabled community. Would you explain us more about these two communities that you are working on and when they are launched?
Sure. Yeah, the Happy Neighborhood Project. Details can be found at happyneighborhoodproject.com or a quick link of hmpabc.com. And in there's an events drop down menu. And in that menu, you can select networking. And so with the networking, they have over 68 events that are co-hosted around the world on Zoom, that everybody around the world is invited to each and every one of them. And so like you're saying with the Wisconsin one, Emily and I are from Wisconsin, and then my wife Sue is co-hosting with us. So yeah, I'm the captain of this co-host team for Wisconsin, and I'm also doing New Jersey and India. And then like you say, the HMP Ability Zoom meeting, which will be coming out the week of July 26th. That'll be starting that week on Zoom. And so on the Wisconsin side, it's basically that Emily, Sue, and myself are representing Wisconsin and kind of doing the coordinated efforts to keep that weekly Zoom meeting going from our region, from our state of Wisconsin. And So there's the couple breakout rooms and everything that the networking happens in, where we're connecting them to 3 to 5 contacts each individual. So a room could have breakout room could have 6 people in it, and so we do an intro, a halftime, and a finale, and so that's basically what that amounts to. And so with the HMP ability, that was something that I offered out to Edwin Edeberry, the Chief Happiness Officer at the Happy Neighborhood Project, who oversees formatting or organizing the co-host teams. And so I told him that if he was willing to put together a co-host team for HMP Ability, that I would be happy to work on that with them. And so we put out the call for volunteers to co-host. And so you're one of our co-hosts, Daryoush. So thank you very much for coming aboard and doing that. And so all of this that we're working on together is a concerted effort to make sure that with business networking, that we are actively reaching out and letting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities know that they are welcome to do business networking with us at the Happy Neighborhood Project. Same thing for the deaf and hard of hearing community, the blind and visually impaired community, the community of people with physical disabilities, and the entirety of people around the world that are identified as being part of the disability community, which is 2 billion people. So it's a way to say that we're here at the Happy Neighborhood Project, kind of saying, hey, everybody out there in the disability community, come and do some business networking with us at the Happy Neighborhood Project.
Uh, for the Happy Neighborhood Project or for the Wisconsin, is it restricted for the people, business people who live in Wisconsin, or anyone from anywhere can join? How it works?
Great question.
Yeah, it's well, it's facilitated on Zoom. So yeah, through the website, through the events and networking page, the drop down menu for events and the networking page, Wisconsin can be found, and anybody around the world can register for the meeting. So no, it's not restricted only to people within the state of Wisconsin. Anybody around the world can network through the Wisconsin edition of the Happy Neighborhood Project, but it's worldwide networking through Zoom.
So anyone who is interested to have business, to do business with business people in the Wisconsin can join for free to the HMP Wisconsin, captained by Kurt, and find your business partner. And for the HMP disability, I believe anyone who is interested to do business with the disability community and business people who are active in this field, they can get connected all around the world through this global community, right?
Yeah, so basically what it does is it makes HMP Ability free happy networking on, through that group. It makes the group pioneers is what it does. Because what we want to see in the long run is we want to see each of the over 70 meetings, for all meetings of the Happy Neighborhood Project, we would like to see the entirety of people with disabilities welcome to all meetings. And we'd like to see the entirety of participation, the thousands of people networking through HMP. We'd want to see everybody interested in doing business with people with disabilities. So basically, HMP Ability is just the conversation starter and the instigators. We're the ones to instigate all of this, to put this on the radar for everyone around the world to focus on.
So anyone who is interested to join and be part of this community, especially HMP Ability, from all over the world, you can feel free to contact Kurt, and his contact information will be provided during this podcast. This podcast, part of this podcast, every week has been dedicated to the security. Security is a very important part of any kind of business, no matter it is a virtual business, online business, or a physical business. your store, your company, your office, your building, you consider different kind of security based on the need of your business. And for the websites, many people ignore it, and some people consider take it very seriously. But no matter how much you can, how much secure is your business, is your website, is your office, is your building, as long as you cannot make any sale, this security uh, is meaningless. And it is important, it will be important when you have a business, a running business, when you make sales, when you have an income, and then you will see the how important the security means to your business and how to make sales, how to make close the deal. This is what Robert Blakely, also known as the Blakester, is talking on these series of the podcasts. Robert is going to talk today about mindset.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Cool. I was just going to ask you to flip the page so that people could see the go back one so they could see what you were talking about with your Wi-Fi network there.
this one.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like I would never connect to that, but I understand why people are doing it, I guess. Silly rabbits. Anyway, so yeah, to just kind of shift gears a little bit. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about mindset because in business, whether offline or online, obviously mindset is extremely important. But I want to come to you from a different angle than maybe you've heard before. And in essence, is just breaking things down just the same way that I do to any of my students. So I want to talk to you about mindset, how to get it, keep it, and use it. Right. So I believe it's extremely important. And when you look at people that are out there, you can see the different types of mindsets that are out there. But we're going to kind of cover the two main ones. And a third thing that I believe is very important for other people to know. So when you look at mindset in general, you know, it's just an established set of attitudes held by someone. Your mindset itself is a set of beliefs that kind of shape how you make sense of your world and everything that's going on around you. But as I mentioned, right, there's good mindset versus bad mindset, right? So you have to ask yourself, what are you thinking, right? And what are you really thinking actually matters? The reason I say that is because of how the subconscious comes into play for our everyday life. So what you think actually matters, right? So there's three different things that we're going to touch on real quickly. Number one is conscious. Number two is subconscious. And then three, something I'm going to talk a little bit about, which is brain plasticity. So to start off at the very beginning, conscious, obviously, some of us may know and understand what this is, just to be aware of aware of and responding to one's surroundings, right? So a lot of times you'll hear people like myself and others say, "Are you awoke?" Right? Are you woke? Are you asleep? But your conscious mind is actually how you respond to everything that's happening while you're awake, right? And the subconscious mind that a lot of people don't really think about much is super important, even more important than your conscious mind. And your subconscious mind is just the part or concerning the part of the mind of which one is not fully aware of, but which influences one's actions and feelings, right? So you can have a subconscious fear to certain things. You can have your subconscious that's literally keeping you from driving yourself into a successful situation, all because of the lack of a positive mindset. Now, when we switch over to gears, shall we say, and switch over to brain plasticity, this is also known as neuroplasticity. It's a term that refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt as the a result of an experience, right? So when people say the brain possesses plasticity, all they're doing is just suggesting, excuse me, that the brain is similar to plastic, right? So what it means is that the brain can actually be rewired. Now, obviously, there are certain cases where you have, brain damage that's irreplaceable or unfixable, if you will. But for the most common person, the brain can be rewired, and that's all due to brain plasticity. So I have to ask you, everything in life, or tell you that everything in life has led up to this point. So then I would ask you, do you believe that it's been good or has it been bad? And we can all look at it and say, well, it's been both good and bad, right? But ultimately, it's how you look at those bad experiences that will help change your current mindset to look at things a little bit differently, right? Because when you think about it, the brain is a muscle and it needs to be exercised just like any other muscle. Now, if you're not using that muscle, then obviously it's going to wither away and die. But ultimately, what it comes down to is perception is reality, right? So if you believe a specific way, whether that be good, bad, or indifferent, that is your reality, right? So what if your reality sucks? What if you're not happy with your reality? Well, it's a simple switch in the mindset to start believing better things, believing in yourself, raising your vibrations so that more positive things are actually attracted to you. It's literally the universal law. So if you utilize it, learn how to utilize it properly, you will see differences in your life and the things that are happening around you because you're tapping into your subconscious mind. You will notice them when you're conscious. And by doing these things, the brain plasticity will take place and it will literally help rewire those circuits in your brain to help you do different things differently than you were doing before. Again, that goes back to exercising the brain as a muscle. So, how do we perceive things? Do we look at the glass half empty, or we do look at it as half full? This is what you want to ask yourself. And if you're looking at it in a negative connotation, just a slight little switch in the mindset is going to change that, right? So, lastly, ask yourself, how can we pull the positive out of any negative situations? Look, guys, I know it's tough when it comes to the mindset because I've been at it for umpteen years. I can say that I'm pretty good at triggering my brain to think the way that I want it to think. And the biggest thing that I do to help switch that mindset, again, just a small little tweak, is how you look at things. If you have a negative situation, you can pull at least two positive things out of that negative situation, then it doesn't make it as negative, right? Which switches again your mindset, changes that neuroplasticity so that you act differently. Like, let's give you an example of, maybe running out of gas on the side of the freeway. Yeah, you're going to be pissed off. You're going to be upset. You're going to be, late to work or whatever. But odds are there's a reason that you ran out of gas. Most likely it might be somebody that you needed to meet or some kind of thing that needed to happen within your life. Obviously, you don't want to plan to run out of gas. Let's be smarter than that. But the negative things that happen, our first inclination is to take a negative approach to them, right? So I implore you to do what you can to not take that negative approach. Let's look at the situation as a whole, look at what happened, and then see, okay, what positive can I pull out of that? Because that literally will help change your mindset. So to give you a little bit of a backstory to explain kind of where my mindset has come from so that you guys, as the viewers, know, a big portion of this came from the military. For me, it was not believing in myself that I could do certain things and then finding out that I was perfectly capable of doing those things, whether it came to, an obstacle course that was out there or driving a tank or even shooting a weapon, right? There were things that most of us don't believe that we could do, especially at first sight. So, oh, well, that's not for me. Oh, I could probably never do that. Well, what that does is that's showing that negative mindset, right? And again, that's showing that what your perception is. So if you don't believe you could do it, you can't. So the military was a big factor for me. A death of somebody that was very close to me changed a lot of the ways that I think, especially the type of person that I wanted to be and the type of person that I wanted to be with. The movie The Secret was a huge, huge influence on me. Also, I had read what was called Two Choices Story. If we have time, I'll try to share that with you before we get off this program. Roughly 19 or 20 years of door to door, just physically talking to thousands upon thousands of people, helped change that mindset. And then a book that I like to recommend people, it's called How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. And the reason that I Big comes
Hello?
powers.
Hello?
Hello.
Robert?
Yes.
I heard until they said the reason that, then nothing.
Uh, well, the reason that I recommend that book is, a lot of us don't feel like we're in charge, especially when different things happen around us. That book helps you to understand how to lead when you're not in charge or don't feel like you're in charge, and also teaches you a little bit more about the power of suggestion. So when you know and understand and learn the power of suggestion, you'll also see other things that will open up for you. But ultimately, you have to have a can-do attitude. You have to change and reverse whatever that negative mindset is. So when we're talking about mindset, there's several different mindsets that people will talk about, but there's only two basic mindsets that we need to be concerned about. And that's number one, the fixed mindset, which is just as it mentions, just means that it's fixed, right? You're not open to any new information. This is the way that you are. This is the way it's going to be, right? And then you have the second type of mindset, which is growth. This is where you want to be. You want to be in that growth mindset to where every day you're learning something new that will help you along your journey of success, right? So while you're going through that, we need to think, well, what did you learn upon that journey? Because in life, we have to trick ourselves into believing, right? I hate to say it that way, but we have to because of all the negative stuff that we see out there in social media and on the news and everything else. We literally have to trick ourselves into believing. So we have to trick ourselves into having a good mindset. And from there, once you implement it in your life and you have that positivity all the time, it's a little difficult for you to get into that negative situation or in that negative vibration. So the funny thing is, though, when you look at what's called the lifeline, right? You don't want to have too many highs and then too many crashes. You want to kind of hover up and down around that lifeline, right? And what that means is just having the proper mindset to see things for what they are and not look at them in the negative connotation. But everything that we do in general, guys, that sale or whatever we say or do to our mate, everything that we do is all for feeling. Okay. And that feeling is going to tie back into your brain and your mindset, especially when it comes to the subconscious mind. So here's a couple of phrases that I use to help myself or have helped myself. And you can write them down if you need to rewatch this video. But these are phrases that I use on a daily basis that help trick my mindset into being more positive. So the first one that I love is one that my drill sergeant Womble taught me, and that's good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. So good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. You should be able to speak it that fast, right? When it's able to roll off the tongue like that, it's definitely rooted into your subconscious. It's burned in there and emblazoned. Now, everybody might have their own impression of what that actually means. But to me, what that means is that I can always strive for better, right? So even if I think that I'm good, I can get better. And I want to get to that point where I feel like I'm the best. But even when I get to the best, there's always still something new to learn, right? So good, better, best, never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Another phrase that I say when people say like good luck, I say luck is for those short on talent. The thing again, when you're talking about mindset and sales psychology, when you say luck, now you're using that subconscious mind to say, oh yeah, well, good luck. I hope I have luck. Luck has nothing to do with it, guys. Luck has zero to do with it. What it has to do with is your personal experience and how you get engaged in whatever it is that you guys are doing. Okay? Oh, I hope I win that free ticket. Good luck. That to me, like that word, just like it's funny to me. Anyway, moving on. If people ask me, how are you? I say, if I was any better, I'd be twins. And I smile. If I was any better, I'd be twins. How you doing, Robert? Super good and getting better by the second. And so those are a couple of things that you can, kind of use in your repertoire, daily routine, your mantra, however you want to say it, to kind of help change that mindset. So at this particular point in time, I just want to share the Two Choices story with you because it made a big change and difference in me. So I'm hoping that it'll make that type of change in you and it'll help you see a little bit differently if you do have any kind of negative mindset. So the story is pretty easy. And the great thing about this story is you can replace the person's name with anybody that you want to. So it could be Kurt, it could be Daryoush, it could be Emily, it could be Robert, right? But for this Two Choices story, I'm going to say that there's a guy named Robert. And this guy named Robert was so happy that every time you saw him, you'd say, "Hey, how's it going, Robert?" He'd say, "If I was any better, I'd be twins." Now, a lot of the people that knew him to be so happy, some of them had come up to him and they would ask him, they said, "Robert, how do you do it? How do you live a life to where you're just always happy and nothing bothers you?" He looks at his friends and he says, "I figure that every morning when I wake up, I have two choices. I have the choice to go out there and be miserable and unhappy, or I could choose to be happy. I choose to be happy." Well, Robert was the restaurant owner, actually a restaurant manager, and he was the type of guy that everybody loved because of his positive attitude. That even if he went from one restaurant to another, his employees would follow him. They loved him that much because he was so positive. Well, one night Robert did a cardinal sin for a restaurant manager, and he left the back door unlocked while he was going through the nightly deposit. So some robbers came in, they broke in with guns, put the gun to his head, told him to open up the safe right at the last minute. His hand fell off the safe and he got shot. Boom. Right? The robbers ended up making their way out. He had a bullet in his body, actually two bullets in his body. They made their way out, and there was Robert laying on the floor, ready to die, or awaiting to die, shall we say. The EMS came in, they picked him up, they rushed him to the hospital. As they were rushing to the hospital, they were trying to see if he was coherent. Honestly, I could see the looks on their faces that made me feel like I was going to die. They would ask me, they would say, "Robert, are you allergic to anything? Anything?" I sat up and I said, "Yes, bullets. I'm allergic to bullets." I said, looked at the doctors and nurses. I said, "Operate on me as if I was going to live, not as if I was going to die." So everything went well. They got him to the emergency room. They were able to extract some of the bullets. However, there were still fragments in his body. He had a nice scar in his body and stuff. And as he was there recovering, some of his closest friends and workers came to visit him. And there he was sitting in his bed. And as they came in, they said, "Hey, how you doing, Robert?" He said, "If I was any better, I'd be twins." There, everybody looked at him and said, "Robert, I don't understand this. I really don't. Like, you got robbed, you got shot, you got bullet fragmentations in your body. You're sitting here in the hospital. How can you be so happy?" Robert looked at them all with a smile and said, "I figure that every morning in life, I have two choices. I can wake up and I could be miserable, or I could be happy. I choose to be happy." So that story really resonated with me, guys. And it led me to know, trust, and believe that if I woke up every day and I was just happy and or grateful for another day of life, all of a sudden good things would start happening, right? But those are different ways to have a growth mindset versus having that fixed mindset. But what it comes down to also, guys, is that we want to try to build your confidence. Now, I'm not saying cocky because there's a difference between being confident and cocky, right? But most people don't have confidence is because they haven't had that shift in their mindset enough. They haven't seen the beginning stages to the ending stages and seen the great accomplishments that they have already done. So think about it, man. What have you accomplished in your life that you can be confident about and share that message and share yourself confidently because of the mindset, right? Because here's when the breakthrough happens, guys. It's only going to be in two positions. That's when a person is in a state of transition or they're at a breaking point. Those are the only two times in life when somebody's going to be willing to make that type of change or to change their mindset or to start a new business or to start a new job. Okay? That's how that works. But when it comes to the online stuff, you don't need your own income story to be a leader. You need the right mindset and you need the right training. Just remember that we're in the leadership business model, guys. It's not the pitching business model. It's the leadership development, leadership business model. So I implore you to step into your power and become a leader. And you can start doing that by changing your mindset.
Thank you.
That's all I got for you today.
Thank you, Robert. Our time is up, and it seems that Robert has a lot more to talk about mindset. And I believe he's going to continue this on the next week, and I'm very interested to see what else he has to talk about. This those who are interested to connect with Kurt, they can. These are the contact information for the Kurt. Kurt at thedisabilitychannel.us, and you can call him or text him to +1 262 372 1754, his phone number, and the website linktree.ee/all4abilities. And his WhatsApp number is +1 414 514 0186. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week. Have a good weekend and stay safe. Bye.
Choo choo, love you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.